Hello, welcome to Venice at 10 on NTA News 24. We are broadcasting live from Abuja. I am Musbat and Wahab with Venice. Now the headlines. Governor Lalong of Plateau State briefs President Buhari on farmers' herders conflict, assures on restoring peace and stability.
We must fish out the perpetrators, both the one in Bassa and the one that happened with the travelers.
Governor of Katsina State, Aminu Bello Masari, helps on communities providing actionable intelligence on criminals as panacea for ending insecurity in Nigeria.
Citizens and the community involvement is necessary in order to win.
House Committee on Finance cautions relevant MDAs on non-appearance for MTEF 2022 to 2024 interaction. Plus 29 states take delivery of Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. Thanks a lot for staying tuned in. Let's start from the presidency, where the federal government has committed to providing desired leadership and support towards effectively addressing the prevailing challenges associated with reported mass surrender by terrorists and insurgents in the Northeast Theater of Operations. President Muhammadu Buhari made this known during a strategic engagement with Governor Babagana Umara Zulum of Borno State. State House correspondent Adam Musambo has that report.
In the last few weeks, terrorists and insurgents that have been killing and maiming innocent people as well as destroying their means of livelihood and other valuable property in Nigeria's northeast have been surrendering en masse. Governor Babagana Zulum, who was said to have survived dozens of attacks in the last 12 years, described the unfolding scenario as welcoming.
I'm in this business for the last 11, 12 years. I was attacked for more than 40, 50 times. I know the magnitude of this problem. More than 100,000 people were killed. I'm telling you, more than 100,000 orphans we have now. More than 100,000 widows we have now. And right now, the whereabouts of not less than 10% of people of Borno State is not known to all of us. And therefore, I'm in total support of this ongoing surrender. It's a very welcome development. Unless we want to continue with an endless war.
Governor Babagana Zulum is here in the State House to not only show appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari for his genuine efforts at finding lasting solutions to the Boko Haram menace, but also strategize how best to address the humanitarian, emotional, and psychological issues resulting from the terrorist surrender.
It's not a small issue, because we are not just saying that those that have surrendered shall be reintegrated into the society very soon. No. But mind you, among those that have surrendered, some are innocent that are possibly inscripted into this program. Some are teenagers below the age of 11, 12, but they can handle AK-47. And therefore, I think the best possible option for us to see that we resolve this issue, we want to see the involvement of the federal government in a large scale. The President has agreed to provide the leadership. We are going back to Maiduguri to have a wider consultations with the victims themselves, the traditional rulers, and the generality of the people of Borno State, the major stakeholders, including the Nigerian Army, the civilian JTF, and others, so that we can come up with far-reaching recommendations to ensure amicable resolution of this issue. And Mr. President has given my humble self and the people of Borno State the assurances of his continued support in this direction.
Over 2,600 terrorists have so far surrendered, and the governor has made it clear that none of them will be given a dime, but treated according to extant rules and regulations, as well as international conventions. Killing the surrendering terrorists, he emphasized, is not an option, but victims will be adequately supported.
Those that their parents were killed, federal government and state government will help them.
From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And similarly, Governor Simon Bakola Long of Plateau State has formally briefed President Muhammadu Buhari on the recent farmers-herders conflict in Basa local government area of the state, as well as the killings of travelers, and just assuring that peace and stability have been restored. The governor, however, made it clear to journalists that all those found to have compromised efforts at maintaining peace and security in the state will not escape justice. Again, State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
Governor Simon Lalong, who is also the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, had told President Muhammadu Buhari that although normalcy has been restored, the state government will not relent until all those involved in breaching the peace and compromising security on the plateau are fished out and brought to justice. He said a lot has been done by his administration towards restoring and maintaining the desired peace enterprise, and therefore nothing will be left to chance towards ensuring that Plateau remains truly the home of peace and tourism.
I want to thank Mr. President for the deployment of additional forces in Plateau State. Right now, I will say they are working, diligently working. We must fish out the perpetrators. Both the one in Basa and the one that happened with the travelers. And not only that, we are even reviewing some of them that had done it before in order to ensure that we have security on the plateau. You know, this is not the first time. For over 6 years now, we have been enjoying it. So anybody that will want to bring back Plateau to that place, it is not only me. Plateau people will resist that. Plateau people have said, we don't want to go back to crisis again. We're enjoying peace.
Governor Lalong, however, informed the president that the state government is finding it difficult to cope with the humanitarian crisis that followed the latest incident in Basa.
Also made a request to the president about relief materials and also still re-echoing the issue of resettlement of IDPs. We have a lot of IDPs in my state. We have enough on our hands already. And when you have things like this happening, you expect the state to go and start looking for money to go and address and bring out relief materials. We are doing it on our own, but President also charged that I should go and get the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs so that attention will be given to those of them that are there who are displaced as a result of this crisis.
Discussions with the president also touched on the forthcoming Plateau Economic Summit scheduled for next month. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Well, another governor is also speaking away from the State House, but meanwhile, Governor Simon Bakola Long says those who have carried out attacks on any part of Plateau State will be fished out and punished, no matter how long it takes. Speaking shortly after meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari in the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja, the governor asked members of the public to discountenance wrong narratives attributed to him as being against bail for the suspect that have been arrested. He calls for unity against criminals.
Is that we must fish out the perpetrators, both the one in Basa and the one that happened with the travelers. Otherwise, we will not want to say travelers are not safe passing through Plateau. And what I said is that you are asking me to prosecute those people. I said the ones that I caught severally, who are those people who went to bail them? And where are they? Because in most cases you rush and bail them, and when they are asking for prosecution, they are not available. Is it not possible that the same people will come back and perpetrate that crime? This was the question I was asking. I'm a lawyer. I won't say there shouldn't be bail. I said, but don't be in a haste when you see people caught in action. Don't be in a haste to go and bail them. Allow the law to take its course. it will help the society. But when they get it, they'll say, no, this is my relation. This man belongs to my religion. You go and start and hurriedly bail him out. It's the same person that will come back and be killing people. And you will say government is not doing anything about it.
The nation's fight against insecurity would be easier to win if communities cooperate with the government by providing actionable intelligence on criminals and their hideouts. The governor of Katsina State, Aminu Bello Masari, made the observation during a visit to the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in Abuja. Olabode Arewa reports.
Sorry, excuse me.
Governor Aminu Bello Masari exchanged pleasantries with his host, the Director General of the NTA, Malam Yakubu Ibu Muhammad. Pleasantries over, time to discuss national issues. But first, a commendation from Governor Bello Masari to the NTA for its balanced and factual reporting, taking into account the sensibilities of the viewing public with particular attention to the issue of insecurity.
Citizens and the community involvement is necessary in order to win this fight against bandits. We in Katsina, we are working with the police and the other security agencies. We are training vigilantes in the simple rudiments of holding and managing firearms. And they're working with the police and the security.
For the DG, NTA's efforts at utilizing the latest in technology to beam the best of news and programs to the grassroots is paying off.
Your Excellency, here, NTA may be a federal government establishment, but it is located in the different states of this country to serve the people and governments of those states in which they are located. So NTA Katsina, though a federal government parastatal, is the property of the government and people of Katsina State. And I want to call on Your Excellency to, on behalf of the government and people of Katsina State, take possession of what rightly belongs to you. NTA Katsina belongs to the people and government of Katsina State.
The two Msmen also pledged to deepen cooperation towards the mutual benefit of Katsina State and the NTA. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Governor of Katsina State, Aminu Bello Masari, is also suggesting massive deployment of technology as well as proper funding of the military in fighting all forms of insurgency. He said this while on NTA News 24 discussion program on the sports as he talks about ways of putting a total end to insecurity in Nigeria.
But we can use technology to overcome them. We need to fight these people and win over them. And I believe, like you said, the federal government with the military institution, the police institution, properly funded, can tackle this. I sympathize with them because every state has one form of insecurity or the other. So they are stretched all over the country. We have to accept that. And we want the military to go back to barracks. So give police, train the police, arm them. Clear this.
And Chief of Defense Staff General Loki Irabo has reiterated the need for all hands to be on deck in the fight against insurgency and other unwholesome activities in the country. He stated this during an interaction with retired military officers from the Northeast held in Yola. Adamawa State, Simon Asher reports.
Insecurity, among other unwholesome activity in the country, has continued to be a source of worry owing to its devastating effect to the socio-economic development of the society. The Northeast over the years has become the center of attention due to the effect of Boko Haram insurgents, which informed this gathering of retired military officers in the Northeast at Gibson Jalo Cantonment Yola in a heart-to-heart discussion on the state of the nation's security with the Chief of Defense Staff, General Loki Irabo.
The retired officers will be able to bring their wealth of experience to, guide and inform and give suggestions that will help in finding a solution to this problem that has been on.
And by so doing, he will be better informed and he will take real adequate decisions that will impact against the insurgency.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Loki Irabo, says the objective is to cross-fertilize ideas with the retired officers so as to tap from their wealth of experience in safeguarding the citizenry.
The solution to the Northeast problem will be largely dependent on the inputs of those who come from this area. So we are quite hopeful. I believe that in the coming days, the situation will keep getting better and better.
At the end, it is expected that the ideas shared will provide lasting solution to the lingering security situation in the Northeast and the nation as a whole. In Yola, Simon Asher, NTA News.
The news reaches you live from the studios of NTA News 24. We're taking a break now. When we return, House frowns at attitude of some MDAs on MTEF. Details shortly.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Thanks a lot for being with us. The National Association of Academic Technologists, NATS, has appealed to the federal government to honor the Memorandum of Understanding on the implementation of agreements reached concerning consequential adjustments over the new minimum wage and shortfalls as a result of challenges in the Integrated Personnel Payroll Information System, IPPRS. The president of NATS, Comrade Ibeji Nwokoma, said the union's priority is to see that research and development gain momentum across the nation's technological institutes and not another round of needless industrial disputes over non-implementation of MOU.
Between now and September, now that they have released the supplementary budget, government does nothing about payment of minimum wage arrears, and the renegotiation has not kick-started. I think our NEC will come up with a position paper on the next line of action.
The union had earlier visited TETFON to solicit support for the academic technologists to be carried along in the equipment procurement processes in tertiary institutions to close technological gaps usually created in the operation of new equipment in the laboratory's technological advancements.
Done and procured by various heads of tertiary institutions without input from the relevant stakeholders and the end users, which are the technologists.
That also solicited trainings and for academic technologists. The federal government says it will continue to provide opportunities to teeming unemployed Nigerians who are willing to access microcredit loans without collateral to expand their businesses for the economic rejuvenation of the country. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo represented State at the launch of Government Enterprise Empowerment Program, GEP, in Abuja. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports.
Available records from the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry indicate that about 1.2 million beneficiaries have been shortlisted out of the 5 million people who applied for the scheme across the country. The breakdown shows that Empower Agro has 418,605 beneficiaries. Empower Volunteer Teachers has 245,970 beneficiaries, while Empower Health got 207,539 beneficiaries. Others are Empower Building with 127,478, Empower Technology 102,056, and Empower Creative has 98,307 beneficiaries.
I'm grateful for federal government for enlisting me among this program.
I really appreciate for the federal government for their effort to help the youth.
The Humanitarian Affairs Minister said no effort will be spared at ensuring continuous capacity building.
I want to assure you that the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is committed to ensuring that the strategic objectives of all the social investment programs are achieved.
The onboarding of beneficiaries in this batch will go a long way to mitigate the impact of unemployment among youths and lessen the current level of insecurity and gender-based violence.
The organized private sector has a lot to offer.
Restiveness, youth unemployment, and so on and so forth is a problem. And that led to the philosophy of establishing the National Social Investment Program.
A popular musician, Oladapo Daniel Oyebanjo, popularly known as The Banj, joined in unveiling the Empower program. In Abuja, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
And out of the National Assembly, where the House of Representatives Committee on Finance has warned ministries, departments and agencies on implications of their failure to appear for the ongoing interaction on medium-term expenditure framework MTF 2022 to 2024. The committee says the outcome of a legislative executive exercise will to a large extent determine the implementation of development projects across the country. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The committee is in the second week of this assignment, which seeks to outline determinants for government's revenue generation and expenditure, in particular the national budget for 2022. 83 revenue-generating MDAs are slated for appearance, but some are yet to respond.
Do not allow us to take decisions that are not palatable. Some agencies are avoiding to come and present their papers before us. And we want to make it abundantly clear that any agency of government that refuses to appear and defend the revenue profile expenditures will be so properly taken care of.
Meanwhile, the session with the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency elicited questions from the committee on its actual revenue, which the agency explained is remitted into the single treasury account. The agency was asked to bring appropriate documents to enable the committee have more information on pricing and supply of petroleum products in the country. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And away from that, the Nigerian Exports Promotion Council has commenced talks with chief executive officers of relevant MDAs and the Nigerian Television Authority (NTA) ahead of a 2021 Intra-African Trade Fair holding in Durban, South Africa. Comfort Amodu reports that Nigeria's full participation of the fair dominated discussions during NTA's visit.
The maiden edition of the Intra-African Trade Fair in Cairo, Egypt in 2018 attracted more than 2,500 conference delegates, more than 1,000 exhibitors, and more than $32 billion worth of trade and investment deals signed. 3 years on, the second edition is scheduled for Durban, South Africa, and Nigeria is poised to again showcase its products and services from cosmetics, fashion, agriculture and technology. The 2021 edition is expected to generate about $40 billion in trade and investment deals. Already, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council is interfacing with key players such as Afreximbank, Niximbank, BIO, NIDA, Sweden, and the Nigerian Television Authority. billion created under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, AfCFTA.
Go online, submit, drop your documents there. At the end of the day, the committee sits again. We pick the best companies we want to take forward to this trade fair.
The Advisory Council is working with head of state and South Africa and Afrexim Bank, leading for vaccine acquisition for African countries to make sure that we achieve 60% vaccination rate before November, before the trade fair date.
NTA again restated willingness to partner with relevant agencies towards boosting the nation's economy.
Especially as a champion of promoting the brand Nigerian.
With the theme Building Bridges for a Successful African Continental Free Trade Area, the fair is expected to provide platforms for more than 10,000 visitors and buyers, attract 5,000 conference participants from all 55 African countries, and more than 1,000 exhibitors. In Abuja, Comfort Amadu, NTA News.
Development experts offers tips on 2021 budget implementation. Let's join Kunle Adeyeye for details.
The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed Usman, recently appeared before the House of Representatives Committee on Finance to intimate members on the 2022 to 2024 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. The minister also gave an insight into the performance of the 2021 budget. Besides stating the debt profile, she disclosed that 1.3 trillion naira has been released for capital expenditure. An economic policy analyst, Johnson Chukwu, emphasized that the economy will remain on the growth path following the introduction of some programs and policies by government.
The major thing we have to realize that the current fiscal framework requires a lot of drastic changes, such that we need to get to a point where the government will pay the debt service and still have some headroom for capital expenditure. I'm quite happy that the government has brought in the concept of concession of some of the highways, restoring tolls, such that the revenue from the use of the roads can be used to maintain them. And now with this passage of the Petroleum Industry Act and being signed into law, I also want to believe the government will consider the idea of eliminating subsidies, particularly subsidies that are tied to consumption, so that we will reduce some of the expenditure the government is incurring.
He implored managers of the economy to keep focusing on development of infrastructure. With Business News, I'm Kunle Adeyeye.
Vanessa 10 reaches you live from the studios of NTA News 24. We'll take a break now. When we come back, more reports are shortly, including updates at the ongoing Paralympics in Tokyo and foreign news. We'll be back in just a bit.